Tonight, we're going to talk about something that could reshape the entire global order. In the last 48 hours, Iran launched missiles and drones across the Middle East. A CIA facility inside the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh was hit. American consulates have been attacked. Gulf oil infrastructure is under threat. European gas prices have nearly doubled within just the past 2 days. And the real question is, are we watching the opening phase of a regional war or the opening phase of global economic shock or global war? Because when the Strait of Hormuz is threatened, the entire world economy holds its breath. Tonight, we're going to break down what's actually happening, what Trump's strategy appears to be, and how Iran is responding, and why this conflict may not stay confined to the Middle East. And more importantly, what preppers and ordinary people should be watching out for right now. All right, folks, welcome in. Greg Allison here with Green Regs. So the opening strike, regime decapitation. Let's start with the event that triggered this chain reaction. The current conflict began when the United States and Israel launched coordinated strikes inside Iran and targeted leadership, missile infrastructure, and military sites. Reports indicate that Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was taken out with the strike zone. That's been pretty much confirmed, along with other senior military leaders. Now, that's important because historically, the United States has avoided direct regime decapitation operations in general, particularly against Iran, but not always, as we shall show in just a little bit, contrary to popular reports. For decades, Washington has used sanctions, proxy pressure, and covert operations. But this time, the strategy appears fundamentally different. The goal may not just be deterrence. The goal may be regime collapse and maybe even choking off other countries such as China. And that's exactly why the Iranian response has been so aggressive. So, regional missile barrage. I'm going to update my chat room here. Within days, Iran launched a massive retaliation campaign. Missiles and drones were fired toward Israel, Kuwait, Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain. More than 160 missiles, some say 750 out of what's thought to be their 2,500 reserves, and hundreds of drones were launched across the region. Many were intercepted, but not all. And this is where things start to get very serious because Iran did something symbolically important. They struck American diplomatic facilities. And we'll talk about why that's so important. The CIA facility strike. One of the most shocking developments came when the drone attack struck the CIA station inside the U.S. Embassy compound in Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia. Now, reportedly, there were no casualties. But the message was clear. Iran was signaling, we can hit your intelligence networks. And remember, embassies are sovereign territory, and that's where the rubber meets the road of what counts. What counts. So an attack on a U.S. embassy is essentially an attack on the United States itself. So you think of it just as all over there. Well, it is, but it's U.S. That dramatically raises escalation risk. And Gulf states enter the war. Another major development. Iran just didn't strike Israel. They struck Arab Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Qatar. the countries host major American military bases. Instead of dividing the region, as they had hoped, dividing it apart, the attacks may actually and seem to have definitely unified Gulf states along with Washington. That's a huge strategic miscalculation if you're Tehran, because Iran now risks fighting Israel, the United States, Saudi Arabia, UAE, potentially NATO partners like the UK and maybe even France, which already seem to be entering this. And that's a very dangerous coalition for Iran. Hezbollah opens the northern front of the conflict. Something's going wrong here. I don't see a lot of chat. Hang on, guys. Try to pull this up a little bit. Anyway, so while all this is happening, another front is opening. Hezbollah and Lebanon are launching strikes against Israel as we speak. This is exactly what the analysts feared. Iran's proxy network includes Hezbollah, Iraqi militias, Houthis in Yemen, Syrian militias. It did include Hamas, but they've been pretty much stomped. A little too hard to do much at this point in time. If all of them activate simultaneously, and already some of them have, you could suddenly have a multi-front regional war. The Houthis hadn't drug in yet, but I would expect something to come soon. And the energy shock. Now, let's move to the global impact, because this is where the story becomes enormous. Energy markets are reacting fast. European natural gas prices have nearly doubled in just 48 hours. Same for gas at the pump. This has happened due to fears of disruption around the Strait of Hormuz, which has been closed. Now, you know, the gas prices go up instantly, even though the gas was bought at the earlier prices, but that's kind of irrelevant. Maybe irreverent. But anyway, that's not funny. Sorry. The fastest spike since this has been the fastest spike since the early days in the Ukraine war. And prices are going up here in the United States too. I'll show you some articles on this when I'm done with my monologue there. Because 20% of the world's oil supply flows through the Strait of Hormuz. If that shipment is disrupted, oil doesn't just go to $100, it could go to $150, even $200 a barrel. And when oil spikes like that, everything breaks, because energy drives the prices of everything else. The global market reaction is that, well, the market's already responding. The Dow has dropped sharply amid fears of a widening war, like 1,000 points. Energy markets are surging. Shipping insurance rates are rising. Investors are moving into gold. The classic war risk premium behavior, that's what that is. And historically, when markets start doing this, they're pricing in a longer conflict, not a short conflict. So Trump's strategy, now here's where things get interesting. Some analysts believe Trump's real objective isn't just retaliation. The strategy may be forcing regime collapse in Tehran. You know, he stated his objectives, no nukes, but he's trying to take it further because this is what he prefers to see. Of course, if he got a suitable deal, he's a man who likes a deal, right? Anyway, this would align with the U.S. doctrine of regime decapitation. Now, we saw this in the playbook before. Wags want to tell you that this is new. Not true. Not at all. Because we had Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi, ISIS leadership, Maduro. The theory is simple. Remove the leadership structure and the regime fractures internally. But Iran is different. Iran is a civilization state with deep institutions. They are founded on the IRGC, and the IRGC has its fingers in the economy and institutions all throughout the nation of Iran. So the outcome is far from certain. And we have a a secession crisis. Another huge development. Iran may be moving toward a point for appointing a new leader. Reports indicate that Mojab, however you say his first name, Khomeini, the son of the late leader, has been selected to take power. But the crazy thing is that the mullahs, the ayatollahs that originally, just prior to this, convened to select probably him, they got hit. Most of them taken out. So they had to like reconvene again. So it's like, supposedly Trump wants to leave a few of the leaders because he's got something to negotiate, somebody to surrender to him or cut a new deal, cut a deal. Anyway, so anyway, if he takes power, if this happens, Iran becomes essentially a hereditary cleric monarchy. And that could trigger internal unrest. Like there's not already internal unrest, right? So, and then we have attacks on U.S. bases. Iran has targeted multiple American military facilities across the region. Last I heard, we lost 6 Americans from attacks on Kuwait. Missile strikes hit bases in Kuwait, Bahrain, and the UAE, Saudi Arabia too. Thousands of drones and missiles have been launched since the conflict began. Even with strong air defense systems, sure numbers matter because they're basically drowning out a lot of our interceptors to the point that some of them are getting through and doing severe damage. Now, what's happening in Israel, a lot of that's, Israel don't let us have all this information. It don't get out. They put a lid on that real tight. So we don't really know necessarily what's happening there. Anyway, but there is diplomatic fallout now that embassies across the region are closing. Americans are being urged to leave multiple Middle Eastern countries. I've heard like 9,000 have evacuated because these evacuation warnings are spreading. That is exactly what happens when intelligence agencies think regional war could widen quickly. And indeed, it's not just thinking, it's happening. Might be stinking instead of just thinking. Could the Strait of Hormuz remain closed? This is a big strategic question. Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz functionally, not with a barrier, but anybody that passes through it, they threaten to fire upon and sink. And they've already fired upon a tanker, as we know. So now realistically, Iran probably cannot hold it closed long. The U.S. Navy is likely to reopen it, or even airstrikes on the missile bases that are from which the missiles are being fired to keep it closed. But even as a temporary closure, even if it only lasts a week, this could send markets further into chaos than they already are. And as you know, they already are going there. It can get much worse. China's strategic angle. Now let's zoom out to the global chessboard. China imports massive amounts of oil from the Middle East. If the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, China's economy takes a big hit. And maybe that's also part of what Trump is aiming for, right? But here's the twist. China may also benefit strategically. Why? Because U.S. military focus remains away from the Pacific. And that gives Beijing breathing room around Taiwan, the dragon's breath on the island. Russia's position, Russia also benefits indirectly. Higher oil prices means more revenue for Moscow, and global instability weakens Western unity. So geopolitically, this war may have multiple adversaries of the United States simultaneously and multiple impacts, positive and negatively. And your pocketbook is not going to fill it in a positive fashion. Worst case scenario. Let's talk about the real nightmare scenarios. This is what happens if the war expands, what we could see. Israel versus Hezbollah, Full-scale war. The skirmishes have already begun. Could get worse. Attacks on Gulf oil fields. Well, we know that Saudi Arabia's already had an oil field hit. Cyber attacks on Western infrastructure. Sleeper cell activity here in the U.S. and in the homelands of our allies even. Anybody that's allied with us may see this hitting them at home. At this point, the conflict becomes a global economic and security crisis. Why should preppers be watching? This is where it becomes practical. There are key signals to watch. Continuation of Strait of Hormuz shipping disruptions, all above $120 a barrel. More Gulf oil facilities hit, like the one that's already happened in Saudi Arabia. They are likely to take a bunch more, and that will have longer range economic impacts due to limiting the flow of oil until those facilities get fixed. Hezbollah, like I said, entered full war. And of course, we know that they are already firing missiles in Israel and taking hits from the Israeli Defense Forces, chiefly their Air Force. NATO involvement. Individual NATO nations like the United Kingdom and France are already engaging. Why? Because a Shahed drone hit a British air base in Cyprus, which is in Europe. Funny thing is, it had Russian anti-jamming components. How much can the stuff expand? Could that be a false report just to try to take on Russia? Good question. But here's the more interesting thing. France has had to chime in. Why? Because the United Kingdom can't even defend their own air base. They got to have Francis come in there and save their little ums. Can you believe that one? Wow. Now, if several of these events occurred simultaneously, the crisis becomes systemic. Now, let's don't. Hey, we got a super chat tonight. Well, thank you, smartass patriot. Appreciate that. Salute you. So, guys, and this whole thing could expand. Korea, China versus Taiwan. There's a lot of stuff that can go bad in a hurry. So, what does this mean for supply chains? The things you, as a citizen, as a prepper, potentially, if you're not a prepper, you better be thinking about it. How can it affect you? Energy shocks ripple everywhere. Fuel, food, shipping, fertilizer. And fertilizer also dries fuel. What is fertilizer? It's made from fuel, like primarily natural gas. Electricity. The Middle East war can show up in your grocery bill within weeks. Strategic pattern. Now, here's the big pattern I see. The world is entering a phase of simultaneous geopolitical stress points, and these stress points are going hot in a hurry. Ukraine war, China-Taiwan tension, Mideast conflict, energy market instability. Historically, this kind of cluster precedes major global realignments. And we got stresses here in the United States that could cause domestic realignments between the things you might not want to see. Let's just put it that way. So, all right, let's step back and summarize what happened this week. The United States and Israel launched strikes against Iran. Iran responded with massive attacks across the Middle East. American facilities were hit. The Strait of Hormuz closed. Energy markets are spiking, and the risk of regional war is rising. What should you watch? The Strait of Hormuz, oil prices, Hezbollah activity, because those three major factors will determine whether this conflict stabilizes or spreads further. So, for preppers, the takeaway is simple. Energy shocks drive everything. Food, transport, inflation. Yeah, very inflationary. So, watch the energy markets closely. Get your preps in order. I always tell you that. And never let your vehicles, fuel tanks, get less than half full. So, I'm going to go into some article links. I will be posting an article in a video probably tomorrow that I'm doing, which is about what is scaring Russia and Putin and Little Kim. I've already got a lot of it worked up. I just haven't recorded it. So stay tuned for that. Uh, so that could open a whole new geopolitical front. And, hey, also think about this. What's going to be China's possible responses? Because if this war drags on, Beijing may see an opportunity or two or four. And again, that too could open a whole nother set of geopolitical stress points, wars, and worse. So let's go in and do some sharing here in a minute. Hang on, guys. Let's go in and look at some things. We're going to look at some few articles like we usually do. Then I get in and, then basically I've concluded the news section once I do that for the coffee drinkers in the morning, the people that want to watch this video later. Salute to them with a swig of coffee. It's really late for me here. And then we will go into the chat room. And for my longtime followers, they always love a little game. Since I am a homesteader out here in the desert of Arizona, living off grid, we take a jab at guessing how many eggs are harvested. But hold that till I say go. So we have a little fun on Green Greg's too. We talk serious topics, but we have fun. We're family here. So what is wrong here? Oh yeah, I see it. Let me go into the share screen. And bada bing, bada bang, here we are. Guys, on another topic, you buy products, especially here in the United States, we know quite well that there's a lot of food additives and different chemical additives that aren't allowed in Europe, but they're just allowed here for some reason. But even aside from food, your everyday products that you use for personal care, your shampoos, your dish detergents, your lotions, sunscreens, your vitamin supplements, they don't have the same level of regulation your food has. So they're even typically worse. And I've done several reports about chemicals and other heavy metals and other things like you find in toothpaste even and other products that we use on an everyday basis. And guess what? There's like 550 different brands, which are all controlled by just 12 companies. And it used to be, a lot of these used to be independent companies that were founded on the basis of bringing you good, clean products at a nice price, right? Quality was usually their founding motto, but they get taken over, acquired by these big conglomerates, and all that goes to the wayside. And the worst thing yet, even these 12 companies have controlling interest from these companies, dominated principally by BlackRock. Just what you like, right? So I'll give you guys a solution. If you don't want to support BlackRock and companies that give you a lot of crap in your food, a lot of trash, a lot of chemicals, you got an alternative here. Go to switchwithgreg.com, switchwithgreg.com. It's a family-owned manufacturer, family-owned company. Non-toxic products based on plant goods. And yet, even though they're based on plant goods, the cleaners work better than all this other stuff you get. It's more concentrated too. It's not, diluted with water like the other stuff. You're supporting American jobs. There's no advertising allowed. There's no advertising of this stuff. But it's made in the United States. So that's the cool thing. That's the cool thing. So there's your chance. If you want to try this out, go to switchwithgreg.com and fill out the form. No, so let's get back to the news. U.S. military assists Ecuador. How about this one? The first land operation against cartels. Yeah, boots on the ground in Ecuador as an assist to them from some of our troops. My men on Vanguard, all airborne rangers, started the company. Okay. Well, what bothers me most is BlackRock. Uh-oh, what happened there? Something is going wonky on my screen. Okay. Little gremlins are trying to get me. We won't be talking this stuff. So the big one, Trump's been talking about the big one. I just did a video on that. What's it going to be? This article, which I can't read it all, but I know I'll tell you what's in it. It speculates that the big one may be fuel air explosives, MOABs, things like that. And it talks about MOABs, which are some of the biggest bombs ever made, so big that it may be delivered by C-130s. We got to dominate the airspace where you can bring in things like that against the ground forces and bunkers. A MOAB is a big, nasty weapon that will turn your insides to jelly just from the shock wave. Fuel air explosives. These things are like 21,000 pounds, several tons. They are massive. They're talking about more use of B-52s. Once you're on the airspace, you can fly in the slower jets like B-52s. You can fly in the prop planes like the C-130, which also means the troops can jump out, right? Anyway, so yeah, those MOABs are nasty. So, and here's the other thing. I've been harping on this from the get-go. Trump talks about, well, I've got unlimited munitions and fight wars forever. But then he admits for the medium and high medium, this is true. But he goes further and admits that, for the high end, no, he's not where he needs to be. He admitted that here to this article in the Hill. And that's what we worry about the most, because that's your missile interceptors. Anyway, paranoid Pentagon officials are kind of panicking over this, according to this article. Now, somewhere I saw stats on this where Rubio had announced. I think it was something to the order of Iran's producing about 100 missiles a day, and we're making up 4 or 5 interceptors. And apparently that's part of the reason they decided to go in when they did. It's also been rumored they decided to go in and did because Israel decided to do it anyway, and our bases were going to get fired at anyway, so we thought we'd mitigate the damage. At least that's the story they're telling today. Seems to change sometimes, does it not? Like maybe every day. So, anyway, so the exact size of U.S. missiles and interceptor stockpile is classified, as I mentioned to you guys previously, but it says experts are raising concerns. The problem is that whatever the numbers are, Iran produces them a lot faster than we do, and we're running short. And so, what's the most important weapons in our arsenal? The THAAD, the Patriot, and things like that. So, we're even drawing missiles from other theaters that really need them just to make up the shortfall right now, like Guam, like Philippines, probably Japan, where if we get into it with China, they need them. So I'm assuming that China is watching this with great interest. We may have a big expansion of the war before we know it. So Trump opens Pandora's, box of assassination. Why? Because of the decapitation strike. Of course, they did try it. Reportedly, they were the source, the driving thing behind 2 of the attempts on Trump's life. So it won't be the first time. And as I mentioned before, we've taken out people like Gaddafi. You remember Hillary laughing about that? Said how good they were at that kind of thing. But Gerald Ford had issues with assassinations. And that's why he entered Executive Order 11905 to try to tamp that down. But all the presidents have struggled with that since. There's been several instances where they wanted to take somebody out. And usually they find wiggle room around it. So besides, executive orders can be changed by subsequent presidents. For a while, most of them are reinforcing that executive order. But I imagine that's out the window today. So an executive order comes from a president. So it can be created by a president and destroyed by a president. Embarrassed Keir Starmer orders Royal Navy ship to Cyprus to protect UK base from Iranian air attacks after being stung into action by the French, because it was the French that got there. Because it's going to take Keir's Navy a week to get there and protect their air base. But the French are already there. That's what I was talking about earlier. It's not that interesting. So really and truly, UK got embarrassed, caught their pants down and very much embarrassed. Thank you, Keir Starmer. If I was in the United Kingdom, I would be somewhat less than absolutely fond of that man. Anyway, just my 2 cents worth. China's demand immediately, what they're doing is they're saying, hey, Iran, Get that strait reopened. We got to have it open. But they're kind of talking to deaf ears. Kind of talking to deaf ears. And the whole thing about Iranian command structure seems to be rather decentralized. So maybe the word can't get from the eardrum to the fingers that are pushing the fire buttons on the missiles. Who knows? But it's not been opened yet. Well, why? Because China is in the world hurt. I mentioned that before. And now America's new PRISM, PRSM is called PRISM. Ballistic missile just made its combat debut. How do I know how to pronounce that? Because I used to work on this program. I have worked on this missile program. The Precision Strike Missile, a short-range precision missile. It's been fired in part of the ongoing operations against Iran. Now, what this missile comes from, its predecessor was an Army missile developed to be able to hit moving ships in rivers and out at sea. So this is a moving target capable missile. So it's a very interesting, but it also fires out of HIMARS launchers, just like an ATACMS and several other missiles. So there you are, my friends. The PRISM missile is a fly-in. I can't tell you much about it because I get in trouble. So there you go. I can't tell you how it's designed, but I know. America's average gas prices, again, saw the largest single-day spike jump in 4 years. So it's not, and of course, on top of that, as we know, the Europeans are seeing it far worse. Their gas prices doubled in 48 hours. So I mentioned earlier. And this is kind of a humorous, silly thing. List of items you should start stockpiling as World War III's grow. And I keep seeing these kind of reports. It's just, a lot of your everyday mundane things are telling you to get. But the thing that really bugs me about this article, let's see if I can get to here now. So outlining preparedness strategy is this. We are saying to member states, 72 hours of self-sufficiency is what we recommend. Guys, you should always have 72 hours of stuff, good or bad. If you're preparing for bad times, you think that it's going to be over in 72 hours? Come on. Come on. 72 hours is nowhere near long enough. Try like 72 weeks for starters. You know what I told you, when I was growing up, people put back 7 years worth of food just because they thought it was prudent. They even heard the word prepper didn't even exist. So what are the items they're talking about? Well, ID documents, where's your papers, and waterproof casings, canned food, and I've done a video on canned food many, many moons ago. Yeah, it lasts a long time. Bottled water, yuck. You got a lot of nanoplastics there. If you can store water by other means, think about it. Matches. How about some lighters? A Swiss Army knife. Check, 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 check. I got probably 5 of them just laying around. But I like these Tinker's Swiss Army knives because you can carry them in your pocket a lot easier. I did a video one time on my 3 favorite knives. You can find it if you go back and look in the channel. And it makes a lot of sense if you just go back and see it. Anyway, so that's some of the stuff we're talking about. Food, bottled water, matches, Swiss Army. Oh, yeah, they say cash, playing cards, and medicines. While playing cards, the grid's going to be down. You can't watch TV. You can't go on the internet. You're going to get bored. Do you know how to use actual physical playing cards anymore? If you buy yourself, you'll have to play Monopoly. So let's check out the earthquakes. This thing is kind of freezing up on me here. Let's back out. I'll hit the renew button because it should be giving me a screen here. There we are. Got a bunch of earthquakes over here in the islands off of Alaska. Attu Station, Alaska. That's the next to the last island. Adak is the last. Now look over here. Bunch of earthquakes out here in the Northern Mariana Islands. The Puerto Ricans are dancing tonight. Good for them. Chile, Peru, A bunch of them here in Texas, Westbrook, Colorado. A bunch of them here in the West, kind of lined up. BD, Nevada. Of course, the island chain peninsula there in Alaska gets a lot of. Now, where's this? Around Sicily, maybe? I can't pronounce that. Tajani, I don't know, Italy. Some on the Black Sea here. Dagomese, Russia. All righty. Space weather. Well, we got a big solitary sunspot, but it's when they're in pairs you got to worry about them the most. Anybody see the blood moon last night? On the wee hours in the morning, previous morning? Some little coronal hole activity, nothing earth shattering there. And the asteroid report tells us there's still that one coming around on the 14th. This going to be inside the orbit of the Earth and the Moon, but mainly 70% toward the Moon. So it's going to be a long ways away. Nothing I would lose any sleep over. But the problem is the ones we don't know. All righty. So let's do this. Let's go into the chat room, see what folks are saying. For the coffee club members in the morning, the main newscast is over. Let me just kind of leave for the closing thought for my morning crowd. If you want clear analysis of global events and what they mean for preparedness, subscribe to this channel, because these are the kind of developments we need to understand before they hit the headlines everywhere else. Like I always tell you, be prepared. Stay situationally aware. Eyes wide open and head on a swivel. Okay, now on to my family here in the chat room. So we did a close for the folks that got to get on with their lives. How long are we into this video? How long did that take? Let me check the time. 36 minutes. Not bad. We did it fast tonight. Very good. All right. MP5K Fisher, how you doing? Rick Thompson, how you doing? Northern Prepper, good to see you. Our life off grid. I got a life off grid right here. And Ray82, how you doing? Formidable adversary, yes. Carol, good to see you again. AOE Life, good to see you again. And Fly in Lead, that's something I like to make happen. My nugs are good at making that happen. Bill D. Roll. Spunky Sugar, good to see you again. Kathy Pittman. Bill D. Bad craziness, we got a lot of that. All right. E.L. Sid Barrett. Greetings from Captain Windsor, U.S. Airborne, SMU, INSCOM. Well, salute to you, Captain Windsor. Salute you, sir. I appreciate your service. I was in the Army once upon a long time ago myself, back during the original Iranian hostage crisis. And they had us packed up and leaving. We were going there. So I didn't go, but I thought I was going. What is Silver doing? Oh, well, okay. We'll have to look at that in a little bit. You know what? We'll go back and look at Silver in a little bit. Jason Smith, how you doing, my friend? Appreciate it. Of course, we do thank Smart Ass Patriot again. Really nice super chat. And Potash. Oh, yeah. That's good for making powder to make the nugs go, especially when we stuff stuff down the top. But it's fertilizer. And that part of the fertilizer is a little harder to come by the way. And one of the principal sources of it, Russia. So what are we doing? What were we doing 80 years ago? How about 80 years before that? And 80 years before that? Yeah, there you go, Jason. But how you were doing things on the farm back then, it was pretty darn natural. And folks have forgot most of that stuff. Be a good thing to learn. Thank you, Jason, for the thumbs up. Fieldy roll. That's a funny word. Stabilize, 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 stabilize. I think finger is a funny word. Finger, finger, finger. I don't know. Something about that always just caught my attention. Stable eyes. Oh, I get it. Does that mean your eyes don't move? They're stable. Stable eyes. I hadn't thought about that way. Interesting. Hey, Arnold Smith, how you doing, buddy? Late again. Catch on rewind. My men on Vanguard, all airborne rangers started company. Well, that's not too bad. I want to be an airborne ranger. I want to go to Vietnam. I want to be an airborne ranger. I want to. Now, you could ban me if I sung the rest of it. I own vast voting shares in Raytheon, Lockheed, Grumman. Hey, I worked for Grumman once upon a time. Boeing, BAE. Well, I worked for a company that BAE bought out. Uh, Rhyme, Texas, 1989. Wow, that was the year I graduated college after getting out of the Army. Got out of the Army, went to college, and had to co-op to pay my way through. I didn't get no silver spoon in my mouth. I didn't have no GI Bill and some kind of a VEEP program, but I had to put money into it to get money out. Wasn't all that great. I got a whopping $225 a month. It was pretty bad before when I first went in the Army, before Jimmy Carter's double digit inflation hit. And after that, it's like almost worthless. It was just like, eh, you know, buy some pencils. So mostly I bought 500K in Apple and the rest in 1989. Well, you know what? You're ahead of the game. Well, you probably did really well on that. And buy more every year with dividends. Well, uh, how do you pronounce it? L. Sid Barrett. Salute to you. Hats off to you. I own a lot of stock, voting shares, uh, every defense firm, oil firm, tech firm, etc. And I put all my reps, etc. Well, give us some advice. Give us some stock advice. Now, how much do you think the stock market's going to fall? You going to keep money in? You dumping? Tell us what you think. I got big guys for their catfish. Oh, Elton. Now you're talking, buddy. Let's see. I have some 10. Yeah, okay, 10. Pilgrim 420, how you doing? Big hug from Sweden. All right. I said, Marie Kim. Marie Kim. Hey, we got some. Hey, now we've had a couple people coming from Sweden now. Alan Mayer Jensen from Denmark. But I used to have another guy come in from Sweden a lot. Good to see some Europeans in here. I even bought a sob stocks. Well, is that a sob story? Loudy, loudy. All right, let's see here. Give us some advice then. The only member of the royal family in the U.S. Airborne serving in Special Forces 53 years continuous. You remember the royal family and you came here to serve in our Air Force? Excuse me, in our U.S. Airborne. It's not Air Force, it's Army. What group are you with? Like, are you with 82nd, 101st? What's your group? I was once upon a time in the 18th Airborne Corps, as my dad was, and my dad was airborne. I actually was airborne myself. I was in the 35th Signal Brigade, which is predominantly airborne, but the unit I was in was not. 426 headquarters company, the 426 Signal Brigade, right next door to the Green Berets on Ardeen Street. So that's where I was when I was at Fort Bragg before I went to Fort Greely, Alaska. La 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 la. Yeah, I was enlisted back in the days. I got my college degree after the Army. I started learning Magic, the gathering playing card game. Okay. Red Star Wolf. What do you think laser weapons are in the future? Hey, you know what? Oh, Sid Barrett. Well, since you got some service, if you got some unique angles on this, and if you would like to if we would like to explore the idea of bringing you in here to interview you, if you'd entertain that, you can email me at greg@greengregs.com. I think it's somewhere in my video description. But I got a website called greengregs.com, and it severely needs update because it still has me living in Alabama. It's been a while since I lived there. I got to go in and do some work on that website when I get time. But anyway, the email address is still good. That's about it. That and the donate button. That's the only things that work there. All righty. I want to rerun. How you doing, Paula Nitz? Whatever happened to that nuke they lost in Ukraine? Hmm. Good question. It's thought that there were South Africa developed for them, and nobody knows where they're at now. It's also been suggested that Russia planted a lot of backpack bomb nukes here in the United States, and nobody knows where. Reportedly, 82 of them are. A lot of big questions. A lot of big questions. South Korean trading was halted today due to 7% loss. We're going through drought or preparing for the next one in the Southwest. So one of the things I didn't open an article on, I read, I read hundreds, I go through hundreds of articles to put these newscasts together, guys. One of the things was saying that they believe this drought here in the Southwest that's been going on for 32 years may be systemic and an ongoing trend. It may get worse. Their concern is they think we're going into a new era of desertification, drier than it is. Of course, they're also expecting we may have atmospheric rivers hitting California, which could totally turn the big valley, Sacramento Valley, into a giant lake, and like they had back in, the early 1800s. They had some huge flooding, crazy, unbelievable flooding events. I'm sure a lot of that water would come out here too, but probably not nearly what they're getting. It will be a lot more manageable here. So, not sure you can take all those projections to the bank, but it's something to be aware of. And I'm considering how I could provision myself with the water in the long term. And it's something as a prepper, an off-gridder, that I am looking into how to collect rainwater when there's very little rain. You basically have a massive collection area and a good cistern. I'll do videos on Dust Bowl 2.0. But I've always believed the event is cyclical. Yeah, most likely. Is HARP on? I don't know, Larry. They shut it down for a long time, but it could be because I think they react. Why do you ask that? You seeing something odd? Uh, I think a lot of things are over. I think it's over attributed for a lot of stuff, frankly, because it's power output from that array. They don't have a nuclear plant running. Okay, it's limited power to run that place. So at best, it might be like the base voltage in a transistor. By controlling the small voltage, you control a much bigger current. I don't know. Something to think about. Wasn't there a conspiracy that Russia dropped off nukes on Cuban coast back when they had ships there? Now, we have actually dropped a couple of nukes. I believe it was off into South Carolina. We've dropped some into the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. So there's some things like that. We got 146. Oh, we just lost 20. All righty. So, folks, these are things you need to know, things you need to be aware of. If you're just joining, go back and catch it on the rewind. We're going to do our usual tonight because I went through the news. I gave you my monologue, went through some articles. We went through the chat room, got a nice super chat, and now it's time for the egg guess. How many eggs did I get today? Go. How many eggs did I get today? Yeah, I am a homesteader. I live off grid. I design my own solar arrays because I am an electrical engineer. How many eggs did I get today? Come on, guys, start guessing. I got 12 hens. So keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Ah, we got a combined guesser. Keep going. Whoa. I don't see it yet. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, there it is. A bomb of spike. I got 9 eggs today. Now, how many of these eggs? Next question. How many of these eggs are Easter? Well, hang on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Y'all still guessing. I'm gonna hold off. Don't nothing counts for the Easter eggs yet till it slows down. Wow, that's a big guess. It's 9, guys. Obama spot guy. He's done guessing again. I guess we got a delay here going. We got a delay. 26. Wow, that'd be amazing. No, don't have 26. It's 9. All righty. I think it's slowed down. Okay, now guess. How many of these eggs are Easter egg or eggs? How many of my 9 eggs are Easter egg or eggs? Guess. Go. May have to do may have to start asking for y'all to do combined guess. Take you forever to get it. I don't have many people watching as Ed does over at Pepper Nurse 1. 4 blue. Nope, not 4. 5E. Nope. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. You're hitting all right. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Wow, you ain't got it yet. Oh, there it is. There it is, Carol. You got it, Carol, too. It's 2. No, they're not all Easter eggs. It's 2. This one, let's see if we can see them. Try to hold them up without turning them over. This one and that one are Easter eggs. This one got dinged in the end. So I'm going to probably chunk it, although it's got that little barrier in there. It's probably still good for a day or two, but I don't want to eat this one. Now, here's the thing. These eggs, as long as you don't wash them, they last for months. Hey, y'all still guessing. That's funny. They last for a long time. If you don't wash them, if you wash them, you got to refrigerate them. That's what it boils down to. I'm in a tiny home off grid. My refrigerator is small. I got zillions of eggs. There's no way I could put them in my refrigerator. It's just not big enough. So I use the old fashioned keeping technique. I don't wash them. All right, folks. So there we are. We have covered all our basic essentials. It is really early in the morning. We've kind of gone through this stuff really fast. Let's keep this thing down to an hour for a change. It's 52 minutes. So I want to thank everybody here, especially want to give thanks to our super chatter, Smartass Prepper. Thank you, Smartass Prepper, for the super chat. We're not going to cover everything we normally do. Do you need a bunny rabbit to get an Easter egg? No, but I used to have bunny rabbits, and they never laid no eggs. And I hope to get bunny rabbits again. So this is the first time I've had chicken since I was a teenager. I used to have chickens when I was a teenager. Had a bunch of them. They were all game chickens. I told y'all about that in the past. Anyway, prayers up GBY Mill. All right, guys. Yeah, we all need to do some serious praying. Prep and pray. I always tell you that. There's a big potash mine in New Mexico. That's good. Wild country. What causes those Easter is it in the bloodline? Yeah, it's a breed of chickens. It's a specific breed of chickens that lays those kind of eggs. The Dominicers lay brownish eggs, sometimes with speckles, and they're various shades of brown. And the leghorns lay white eggs. I haven't had a white egg in a while. I got one leghorn, but maybe they just don't like laying until it's warmer. If she don't start laying, she's going to start looking like a chicken pot pie to me. Look, when you're on a farm, you don't get intimate with your livestock, okay? That's just a thing about it. Don't get intimate with what you're going to be eating. If you do, you're kind of weird. Anyway, we never did. So it's late. I'm tired. I got to get up early. And I almost didn't do this video tonight. Foghorn Leghorn, one of my favorite cartoon characters. I say boy. And C-130 rolling down the strip. Airborne day, gonna take a little trip. Stand up, hook up, shuffle to the door. Jump right out and count to four. If my chute don't open wide, I got another one by my side. If that one should fail me too, well, I move your A, I'm a coming through. That's for our airborne buddy in here tonight. I hadn't seen him here in a few minutes. That might entertain him. I don't know, he probably thinks it's terrible. No, I didn't take singing lessons. Now, my youngest daughter did. She sings opera, and she's got a set of pipes. Anyway, folks, I've got 6 leghorns. My rooster's a leghorn. He's handsome too. Are you leghorns laying right now? Is mine a slackard, or are they just not laying? That's what I want to know. First time I ever owned a leghorn. I've had others, but not a leghorn. I got some goats if you need some. Hey, there's an idea. I need to get some pins for them first. Are you in my area? Well, you know what I need? I need a female cat for my poor Tomcat Smokey. He's getting lonesome. He's a lonesome kitty. Stay frosty. Amen. So if anybody is local here and you got a female cat to pass my way, let me know. The Smokey's a mighty lonesome cat. He needs some company. I'm afraid he may go wandering off looking for a female, and something might get him. So if anybody's right here with a female cat, I'd appreciate it. Hoping she's fertile, so we can have a whole bunch more cats. Like a milkshake. Looks like a milkshake. Like a milkshake. Oh, stay frosty. Now that term comes from what's his name? Jack over in what's the name of his channel? Uh, uh, shoot, I watch him a fair bit. Jason knows. What's his channel's name, Jason? I've seen you in there in this chat room. Uh, Black Scout Survival. That's his name of the channel. Black Scout Survival. That's where he always ends Stay Frosty. That's how he ends it. That's his little signature. So stay tough. Just up the road in southern Colorado. Okay, well, come on down and see me. Come on down, Red Star Wolf. Yeah. Now I need to wait a little bit before I get any goats. I got to put in I got to put some pins in. And I got to fence in on my new gardens I'm building. I got to re-fence the one I had. I need to do an update video on that. So just stay tuned for that too. So never leave home without. You know what I mean? Know what I mean, Vern? Hey, talking about leaving home, I've got to give one last bit of prepper advice here. Hang on. One last bit of prep advice. Before leaving home, you asked for it. Before leaving home, here's what you check: keys, wallet, cell phone, knife, other knife, third knife, nug, backup nug, and I would say other nug, and 3 spare magazines. We're not talking about something to read. Don't leave home without it. That you brought the topic up. Shine on, you crazy diamond. Okay. All right, folks, we seriously got to go. So we're approaching the hour mark, the magic hour. Hey, all right. Keith in Arizona. Hello. I saw Keith. Hey, I went in the hospital today. I was getting an electrocardiogram. I'm sitting in just sat down, and suddenly I'm hearing my voice. I ain't talking. My phone ain't on. I'm hearing my voice. I'm not looking around. What in the world? Keith in Arizona was in the room. He saw me. He heard me announce my name up there, and he just pulled up my video and started playing it. One of my videos. That was hilarious. Good to see you, Keith. Really good to see you. Finally, we've been planning to meet. He's in the area, and I met a lot of my subscribers in the area I've met since I've been out here, but he was one of them I hadn't met. So it's good to see you in the house. Thank you, Keith. You up late. I know it's not your tendency. Larry, shoot, meds. There you go. Yeah, keep your meds. Get that stuff in order. All righty, guys. Now, the stuff that they were talking about, the article on Europe that they were saying 72 hours, those are all good things to have. But 72 hours is, you know, it's like you're sitting down for a big dinner and you have an olive. Yeah, 72 hours ain't gonna, that's not enough. It's not close. Pouring rain. Wow, thunder and lightning. All right, Debbie, that sounds good. Yeah, I wish it was thunder and rain here. We need some water, seriously. All righty, folks. I really appreciate it all. So once again, thank you, super chatters. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I appreciate you all being here. My channel needs some help, so please go leave comments uh, in the comment section after I post a video. Comment somebody else. You got snow. Been pretty warm here, but last spring on the 19th of April, I got 7.5 inches of snow. Now, Keith in Arizona, he can vouch for that. He's in a little bit higher elevation than me, and he gets more snow than I do. Artist launch in 28 days. You mean Artemis? Well, maybe. We hope it launches pretty soon. We hope it's a successful launch. And if y'all know more about that, look at my Galactic Grapes channel. It's always winter. It is winter. Yeah, it's winter. It's winter. Definitely, it's definitely winter. Good night and good morning. Yeah, definitely. Artemis, Artemis. Artemis. So with that, I'm gonna say once again, I really appreciate everybody. And Smartass Prepper, thank you for the super chat. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you mods for keeping the channel clean. And like I said, please share my videos. We need all the help we can get here. And with that, I am going to say to one and all, a good night, good day wherever you are, in memory of our late good friend Granny Atlanta. Ho, ho, ho.